Go ahead.
Okay.
All right. The time being 6:30, I want to call the Tilton Planning Board meeting on Tuesday, May 14th, 2013. Call it to order. We do have a quorum, so barely. We are all here. First on the agenda is the continuation of PB 13-05 site plan review for the proposed Aspen Dental Office at 15 Lowe's Drive in the Regional Commercial District, tax map R24, lot 1-3.
Did you have time to read the email that went out from Milton?
And you are, I guess you are.
Yes. No, this first one.
Do I need to use the microphone today?
I read.
Do I need to use a
No,
microphone?
it'll pick up anyway, just.
Okay. I'm just gonna hand these out, I'm not sure if these were.
The one that was emailed to us.
Probably.
We take hard copy, like that.
And then these are, just plan showing the new building too.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Nicole Duquette with TF Moran. Also here with me is attorney Nick Lazos, and Michael Ogeros from Charles Bergoglio, the applicant.
Yeah, it's just a camera.
We were here last time, and the planning board had a question, so I just figured this here so I can do them in the order that you have them. We are, before I get started, we are requesting that you consider approving this application tonight. Given that we have addressed all of the comments that you have asked for. Starting with the fire department, we had already gone over this regarding the fire department's letter. They requested that we have a sprinkler system and a fire alarm system in full compliant with the NIFA regulations, and that is not a problem. We have talked to Aspen Dental, and they are planning to put in their design plans. And I've also added a note to the new site plans, which Augusta has 2 big copies if you want to see them, saying that the plans have to be approved by the fire department prior to building permit being issued. Another comment was the snow storage. On the new site plans, they do show the snow storage areas as being along Route 3. This color up does not show the new tree placements, but the site plan does. These trees have been pulled up closer to the driveway so that it prevents the snow storage from going along the driveway that's closest to the pond. The other comment, I believe you asked if the signs were lighted, and I did find that out, that the wall signs are internally illuminated. On the drainage on the site, the previous drainage report by North Point did include the retail pad. And we did do a comparison. We did do a comparison of the impervious area on the previous plan that was used for the drainage report, and we are coming up with a decrease of impervious area by, it's about 450 feet. I put 400 feet in here just to round down slightly. It's due to these gray areas here are the impervious areas that we've turned to pervious, to grass or landscaped areas. These darker reds would be the increase. So taking that into account, we're actually decreasing the amount of impervious that was included in that drainage study by 400 square feet. So the drainage report is still valid for this this application. And the main reason why there is a decrease is because, yes, we have a larger building, but we took away a row of parking. So, that row of parking and, a smaller entrance, because the dumpster entrance now becomes part of the main driveway instead of its own entrance. Those two items made it our impervious area decrease. And it is good to notice too that this is the comparison between where the retail building was proposed. Retail building was actually proposed about 5 feet or a little less than 5 feet from the curb line.
Just
And where,
push it over to the right a little bit so you can.
oh, sorry, I didn't want to block the people in the back too.
Well, normally we set up over there.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay, I can do that too if you want me to.
It might be easier for everybody to see.
Do you want me to? Okay.
I saw you craning your neck.
Sorry about that. I just set it up there last time, so I thought that's what.
She was too nice to say anything, I'm not.
I know. Should have just told me. They don't need to.
So that's the view.
They worry.
It's a view.
So the previous plan, as I was mentioning, actually proposed the building much closer to that curb line than we're proposing it. One of the reasons why I had shifted it over is because there's light poles there, here and here, so I wanted to try to get away from those light poles. So we're at, I think, about approximately 10 feet away from the curb line with our building.
Nicole, excuse me, did you say you took a row of parking out?
Yeah, we had taken out here. Those are,
And now there is no
Okay.
longer.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because we didn't need, retail is needs a more parking, has more of a parking demand than a dental office would. So we didn't need that row of parking.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing to note is, I know that you, I believe you had the comment about the separator tees, the gas, oil,
Oh, water
oil,
separators.
water.
Yeah, the oil water.
Yeah. I did add a note on there saying that the contractor shall install oil and water separator tees if they are missing, and not only the Aspen Dental side, but the Pizza Hut side. I know there are, I do have pictures of some of them installed, I just didn't check every single one of them, so that is a note on the plan now. And then the planning board requested that we looked into the existing no-build easement on the site. And so we did that. And I do have a copy of the actual easement document if anybody wants to see that too. And we reviewed it with Attorney Nick Lazos, and we are complying with that no-build easement. That no-build line is this blue line that sits here, and we're approximately 3 feet off of that no-build line. So I know this says view easement, but it's supposed to be no-build easement. So we're complying with that as well. You are allowed to have landscaping in there, so landscaping, signage, retaining walls, guardrails, it's all written in there that we can have it. So these trees are allowed to be in the no-build easement. And then the last comment, which isn't on this, it's on the second memo, or it's on the memo, but not the letter, was regarding these angled parking spaces. And I had our traffic engineer take a look at it and see what he said about the site. And he brought up a good point. By building this, currently the Pizza Hut has only one full access. So if people are parked here, they're more likely to use this as an out. By building this second pad, building it out, they have another exit. So if they continue to go this way, say if they were in these parking spaces not familiar with this area and they go past it, instead of going through this entranceway, going through that access, which usually the employees park and it has the pickup window, they can use this exit as well. which will take away some of the traffic out of that, that lane. We did talk to Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut would like to keep those spaces. They're not backing down on that, unfortunately. We tried, so.
Are you considering at all using directional signs?
I did add a do not enter sign here,
Mm-hmm.
and a stop sign. There is a pickup window sign here. Other than that, I'm not quite sure. I mean, if you add too many signs to a site,
Mm-hmm.
people tend to ignore them.
Oh, I understand that.
So we didn't want to add too many signs, but if the board has any recommendations, of course.
Actually, I went there and I wasn't around that middle thing, and of course it was a car to drive through, so as it was recommended to not enter sign. So, people like me.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, both the applicant and the attorney are here as well. If you have any specific questions regarding the no building easement, Attorney Nicolazos can answer those.
You're still gonna have enough space between the parking spaces there on the left-hand side of the building as it sits now, and the drive-through for Pizza Hut?
We're not changing anything to do with that. The curb line stays where it is. We're just changing everything to the east of that curb line.
Okay.
So this is, the light gray is actually existing pavement, existing features. This is our new pavement line right there.
I guess the only question I have is where you're showing the view easement come down the way it comes across at the corner of the building, won't just the height of the building itself block part of the view? I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking.
It's actually not a view easement, and actually.
If I may,
It's a non-build
Yeah.
easement.
hello, my name is Nick Lasses. Nicole did ask me, I'm from Manchester. Nicole asked me to take a look at the easement, and when we pulled it out of the registry, we discovered that the easement was, the easement was mentioned in the minutes of the approval for the Pizza Hut.
Right.
And it was for the Ryans who own the land immediately behind. And one of the things the easement does is it actually does a lot of things. It creates access rights over here. It creates utility rights through here, and ultimately it also provides for this no build. And attached to the easement itself is the plan showing where the no build, which is this, right, you have it. That's the way the Ryans wanted it. And so the no build says, let me just read it to you, it's a little paragraph. It'll give you the flavor for what it is. And it basically says, Carnoustie as the owner of lot 1-4, which is our lot, hereby covenants and agrees for the benefit of the Ryans as the owners of lot 2A that it will not construct any building upon that portion of lot 1-4 designated on the easement plans as the no build area. The foregoing notwithstanding, nothing herein shall prohibit the installation or construction within a no build area of, without limitation, landscaping, signs, paved parking areas, curbing, light poles, park benches, sidewalks, roadways, retaining walls, or any other improvement required by law or by Carnoustie's permits and approvals. So you can see they were concerned about structures in that area, but they weren't necessarily concerned about views because, you know, theoretically we could plant trees that would grow 30 feet high. So, so the shape of it obviously was determined in some manner by the Ryans.
Right.
And so all it says is you can't build a building within that area, and there we are. I mean, so we're outside of it. So I think it's pretty clear. I think if they wanted, you know, I do a lot of real estate work, and if you know, if I have a view easement, I say you can't put anything above this height, and we reserve the right to cut it all off if we insist. So that's not the issue here. The issue is are we in compliance with the no build? And the answer is yes. Okay.
Just an observation, that it refers to lot 1-4, but here we refer to lot 1-3.
It was changed later on.
Okay.
Appears to have been changed. Yeah.
Yes.
It's,
Okay.
The assessor changed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the way the things were combined later on.
Right, but
Yeah.
the assessor did it because,
And the plan attached to the easement makes it very clear that it's
Yeah.
us.
yeah,
So,
right.
We believe you.
oh yeah. Anything else that I can help you with?
So, do those trees in that corner up there, does that, those 4 trees that are in there, does that create an issue with that?
Not at all. It allows landscaping.
Says landscaping.
Yeah,
allowed.
Specifically
Oh,
says
yeah,
landscaping is allowed.
sorry.
Yeah.
I guess when you're looking for it, you can't see it.
Right. Cool. Any other questions for us?
Any comments from the board, questions from the board?
Addressed all the concerns we had.
Elaine,
Do you have anything you wanna?
And so, double check.
Just another, I happen to notice on one of the plans, the building just seems like slightly skewed at the, I guess, the lower left corner. The space from the curb was some amount of feet, and then up further, it was like a couple feet, or maybe a foot.
It is a little bit skewed on this, and part of the reason why is because this retaining wall was set, so we were working off of being square to the retaining wall.
I just wasn't sure if there was like some weird thing that was trying to be done.
We could do the opposite way if you want, and
It doesn't matter to me, I just didn't know if there was
I
something
think it's less than a
that-
foot, I think it's like a
was
half a foot that it's skewed or
Don't get
something.
carried away.
No, I was just, wasn't
That's
sure.
good observation.
It's really.
Have you
getting
applied yet
compliant.
for DOT curb cut? They like to be kept informed anytime there's a change.
We definitely could, this is a less, the driveway permit for this had a more, demanding use, so.
They just like to be kept up to date. It's just simply
Yeah,
a
we can
a
send
case
them
of you're just going
A
to
plan
submit it.
and a letter.
Right.
I guess I'll open up for public comment, if there's any public comment. Does the public have anything? Yes, Ms. Dawson.
In your conditions, I would only ask that you specify that the oil water separator catch basins are manufacturally designed, and perhaps they could submit a plan or build of what they're going to be, because some contractors will make their own. And they should also have a plan of how they're going to be maintained and monitored.
Do you guys have any comment on that?
That's fine,
It's fine.
no trouble,
That's a little one.
that's easy.
She does that for many boards.
I have.
Any other comment, public comment? All right, then we'll close it for public comment.
Right. I'd like to make a motion to approve the site plan for planning board case 13-05 for an Aspen dental office with the following conditions: compliance with the state fire codes, compliance with the Tilton town signage regulations, apply for a DOT driveway permit, to put manufactured oil water separators with a maintenance plan in if needed, because you haven't checked them all yet. The use of directional signs where needed, and then I put like no entrance, stop signs, like that. If you find that it's a problem, you know, maybe a one-way only or something, whatever would work that you find may.
You understand?
Yeah. Is there anything else that someone would like to add to this list? If not, then that's the end of my motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hopefully no one repeated your garden.
What's the anticipated timeline?
Oh, good question. I would probably
Oh,
guess
just, you
somewhere
can just leave it there and I'll get it.
middle of
Thank you.
July
Oh,
get it started.
to start it?
Yeah. We'll probably have it done by September. It's only a 60-day build.
Really, that's quick.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
If we can get it started early, we will. But yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, appreciate
All
it.
have a great night. Enjoy
Good
your
evening.
brownies.
How many chairs?
Happy birthday, whoever, to whoever birthday.
They said 8.
You can take one with you.
Then you'll have to go to Aspen Dental.
Bring some nice jobs.
They do.
Thank you.
Better than
Walmart.
minimum wage.
Thank you.
Should bring some nice jobs.
Yep, I think so.
For dental assistants and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
better than minimum wage
Yep.
or part-time.
Well, a lot of them probably don't.
That's a thick fold.
Yeah.
Here on the first page, in terms of proposed building separation,
Yeah.
which is similar to the separation between the outlet and 99 restaurant. The outlet and the 99 restaurant doesn't have
It's a totally different thing. The only thing we're counting on at this point is the fact that we're going to have it going straight around and out around the other side of the building where they can exit instead of going in here. Because you've got that big dumpster sitting here and you've got a pickup window right there. If there's a car parked there, pickup window, you can't get to anyway.
I don't know what the hard.
Yeah, and there's no reason other than employees for them to park here, because there's no door for them to, you know, if you and I were to park here, you'd have to walk all the way back around to the other side of the building to get in either way. So, the only thing I found that made me laugh a little is they compared it to the 99, but that's strictly an access road behind, there's
I think I
no,
have it closest to
Right,
the building.
yeah.
right,
Because I looked at that the other day, I'm like, no, that doesn't
All right.
make sense. Why are they comparing
yeah,
apples to bananas, you know?
that's right.
We'll be moving on to number 2, a conceptual discussion for the possibility of a flea market at property along Route 3 in the Resort Commercial District during the summer. Is there anyone here to speak to that?
Yes, Mr. Canzano is.
Yes.
You're up.
You're up.
Sorry.
We were gabbing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I put a drawing together for the property.
Okay.
I don't know, there's only gonna be 4 people here tonight. Oh, are you excited?
Did you forget me in here? Sure.
No, he's got you.
Okay.
He's got you covered.
And
No fret.
this is signed copy from Shaylee.
Saying that you can speak.
It's a DOT for an updated driveway
Okay.
permit. And basically, all he wants to do out there right now is to possibly put some campsites and tents out there for the summer. And get some tables out there if people want to come in and sell their stuff. It's flea marketing. That's it.
What is he going to use for restroom facilities?
We'll get a porta potty out there.
And this would be on a temporary basis, because I mean, it's right in our zoning now that porta potties aren't
Yeah,
permitted.
it's temporary.
Yeah.
Hmm?
The only other thing, we had a couple questions, that's why we asked you to come in.
Sure.
You're using the furthest lot down now, going towards Laconia, as far as the entrance, the lot that he's done all the filling.
Right. We're not gonna use this part here, cause it's all, real stumpy still down there.
Yeah,
Because that part we won't use, but it'll basically be this part here.
okay,
From here.
and where will parking be?
It's illustrated right here,
Yep,
all along here.
okay,
That's probably, that's 400 and some odd feet of
Yeah.
parking.
so you wouldn't, I guess what I'm just interested in knowing is that you wouldn't put up with people parking along Route 3?
No, everybody's gonna be inside,
Yeah,
yeah.
If you're gonna be.
It's right on Route 3, there would be no way to park it on the street anyways.
yeah,
They'll be killed out here, you know.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the issue, is the fact that you come down that,
I mean, we can actually park cars here, and he's got a bunch of boulders there,
yeah,
and I'm gonna have him move all the boulders along here, because there's a drop off there.
yeah,
We can use this area, and this area,
okay,
if we wanted to. But I just designated this area right now.
Yep.
But if needed, we have this and all of this.
mm-hmm. And then where will they be setting up, back in here, or over
No, they'll be
here?
setting up right in here, right
Oh,
in this area. Right where the flat area is, it's all
Okay,
graded out, yeah.
Now, who's gonna be setting up there, the campers or the retailers, the vendors?
Well, it depends who's there. If the campers can bring their campers in there, they can put their tents in there for bike week. I think that's what he wants to try to do, is develop some revenue for bike week. And, or during the week, and maybe weekends, he's trying to get some people to go out there and put their tables, they'll sell tables, you know, for a flea market.
mhm.
That's it.
Okay, now on the vendors, I'm gonna ask Catherine's opinion too. Are they going to be required to come in and get hawkers and peddlers? I know in some cases we don't, if it's all agricultural, but in this particular case, it may or may not be.
Well, there's something in there that has to do with organized flea markets, but this
Yeah.
doesn't sound like that's what it is. It's just that people can come in there and sell their stuff, so that, in that case, they would have to get hawkers and peddlers.
It sounds like it's gonna be a lot of bike, or,
Mm.
Is this just gonna be for
Yeah.
bike week, or is this gonna be also?
For the summer.
For the whole
Is it
summer.
a campsite, is it gonna be a campsite, or is it just gonna be?
If people wanna go in here and drive their RVs and their tent out there.
Right, but is the flea market gonna be every day, or is this?
Oh, no, probably be weekends only, yeah.
So if someone pulls in there on Monday, can they park their RV all week? I mean, are we talking about a campsite, or are we talking?
It's recreational, resort recreational out there, you can tent out there
I don't
24
think
hours a
really-
day, 365
I don't
days a
think we
year.
really have anything.
There's nothing that says he can't have tents there all year round. Or RVs,
Yeah, no, I'm just,
campers.
I'm worried about sanitary conditions, I guess. is
Yeah.
my biggest-
I mean, yeah, of course. But, we'll put some porta potties out there for the tenters. And, if people are gonna, I don't suspect people are gonna stay there for, you know, the whole summer.
All right, campgrounds, they are permitted in the zone.
Is it a campground or is it a flea market?
There's campgrounds and youth
I think
camps,
flea
so I'm
market.
looking up everything right now
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
he wants to use. And then, didn't we add flea markets to this?
We did, they're allowed around along Route 3 and
Yeah.
11.
So,
no, there's still one to do.
I just have to find it.
I can't remember what page it's on.
Well,
Share it.
This one is dated March 13th, 2012.
I just won't put this in the
Oh, here it
file.
is, flea markets. Yes, and that's also a permitted use in that district.
One Route 3,
Okay, I guess the only thing I would call into question would be, and I'd have to defer to the Board of Health on as far as porta potties.
Oh, we're gonna do that. I should have drawn one in, or a couple of them in there, but I could do that right now if you want.
Well, it's just primarily to the knowledge of knowing that you've got facilities
Oh,
available
yeah.
to whoever would be there.
Probably the people that are servicing the golf course will probably put the same stuff across the street.
Yeah,
I mean, it only makes sense.
yeah,
Use the same people.
okay. Well, I mean, on something like this, I know in our zoning, it says that you can't have porta potties or outhouses, but that is more referring to, let me get it out.
10.8, something like
You know what?
that. I think it's 10.8 for some reason, it sticks in my head.
10.8. I was thinking that that was more for
Is it not structure?
for dwelling units in commercial or industrial buildings shall be connected to sewage. When a public system is not available, private sewage is required. So, but they're not putting any buildings, it's strictly temporary, kind of like we do with our island down here, by having a porta potty there. So I don't really see any issue with it. I guess my main concern would be keeping the traffic off of Route 3, so that you don't have people, because that's, I know that particular lot's further down and it's a little safer than if you start coming back up towards the
Yeah.
slope, but especially in the summertime, you don't want people walking or milling around on the road because the traffic is horrendous anyway, so.
No, there's more than adequate parking
Yeah,
there.
oh, I know, I went by the other day and looked at it, and that's quite a big
Yeah.
flat area. So I guess the rest of the board has any questions. You may, if the yard sales, if that's going to be like a random thing and vendors coming to the site off and on, then they would be required to come in to the town and get a vendor's permit. You know, especially like we require, like for motorcycle week, we get a lot of vendors that come in for that week,
Yeah.
and they all.
They would be required to get hawker's permit, wouldn't they? The
Yeah,
vendors
I'm
would.
sorry, not vendors, hawkers and peddlers, right?
Right.
I just said wrong.
Yeah, he may have vendors in there for bike week too, because they're all the way down. I mean, I think, isn't this the old Smoke and Barley?
Yeah.
Don't they have some of the vendors over there every so often?
Here's a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that could happen, but we'll just have to tell them, they have to come down. I'm
Yeah.
sure they're gonna know they have to get a peddler's permit.
Right,
Yeah.
well, just let them know that, you know,
Sure,
they need a couple of days, so.
okay, yeah.
Alright.
When does bike week start?
But I don't see, I
Depends on
don't
Father's
see
Day.
where there's
Now,
any issues.
I have a question,
Yeah.
if a person in town wants to have a flea market,
Mm-hmm.
is it required that they have to come in and get a permit for that flea market?
Not
A yard sale, let's
No.
use the word yard sale.
No, they do not have to get permits for yard
Okay.
sales. And the only reason that you would be sending people in here is those that are going to be regular vendors
Okay,
that
yeah,
are
right.
selling a particular product. You know, like we get through, that we have during motorcycle week.
Yeah.
And then the hawkers does come in.
Okay, sounds good.
What signage does he have?
Are you going to have any signage or just temporary signs on?
I haven't discussed that with him, but if, we need to have some signage, I will be here. I'll
Okay.
come down and, ask you, probably if it's gonna be anything, it'll be temporary A-frame signs,
Mhm.
put them up, take them down at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, you can talk to,
Yeah.
that, you'll deal with Al.
Yeah, we can get, what, that's 90-day
Yes.
permit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there any public comment? I should ask that too. Sorry. Your public.
No, the only thing that Sandy asked about the porta potties as it pertains to health, and
Yeah.
they would just have to be maintained depending on the number of people using them.
Right.
You know, cleaning once a month might not be enough.
It should be emptied weekly.
Well, it's like we found with the one down here for the island. I mean, I know they come quite frequently and do it, but, you know, if I'm going down there to do a walkthrough for a wedding or something, I always go in and pick up the bathroom as well, because, you know, some people don't exactly.
You guys all know Jerry,
Oh, I know Jerry, yes.
he's not the type of guy that's.
No.
I don't know Jerry, so.
No, I would,
Well, they all-
Owner of the golf course.
he's
Still
he's the one that owns the golf course right across the street.
Okay.
And I am quite sure that he's not gonna do anything
No.
that would take away from this golf
Sure.
course. So I guess really, that's really all the questions I had. I just wanted to make sure where it was and what you plan to do with parking. And, you know, I don't know if he's going to try and use his restaurant in conjunction with getting people to cross back and forth. But it's something just to keep in mind that you might have to have someone directing traffic. You know, if it gets to be an issue, we might have to, you know, because police might stop by.
Yeah, okay, I'll mention that to him, because
Yeah.
I'm sure that if he's having campers there and tents there for bike week,
Yeah.
or even vendors, it's the accessibility to the,
Right.
to that restaurant is,
Right.
Are they gonna be
you have
having
to
camp?
cross the street and,
Yeah.
be careful.
Yeah, well, just
Yeah,
tell him if he
get
has any
permits.
questions,
Yeah.
he can call the
Sure.
police and, you know,
They
talk to
burn
them
most
about
of their
it.
woods
Yeah.
down
As
up
far
there,
as
really
that
nice.
goes,
Yeah.
generally speaking, you know, they look at
It's a good
each
question, right?
situation on a
They
case-by-case
have to get
basis
permits.
and what kind
We
of
should have
volume
fire
of traffic you're talking about.
containers.
You know, I don't anticipate any problems, but that area is a
Oh, it's
very
busy.
busy
Oh,
section.
sure.
Isn't there a little bit of a hill coming
Yes,
from the, if you were turning left out of that lot to head back towards 93, isn't there a hill coming down?
yes, you
Yep.
go up the hill.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned.
That's
with
why this particular lot, where they're coming into the site here, the hill is way up here. There's a
Yeah.
couple
that.
of
No, but
lots.
there's, but,
When you're coming out of here and you wanna come back towards town, you'll come out at the flat and you start climbing a hill,
right, but isn't there
yes.
another downhill coming from the right too as well?
I'm very familiar with the area.
Yes,
No, I know, that's what I'm saying, isn't there a hill coming down?
When you pull out of the driveway headed east towards Laconia,
right,
you've come up the hill from the Smoke and Barley, let's say.
Yeah,
You can't see over the crest, but if you're headed east, it doesn't matter because you're not going to cross into that lane of traffic.
no, but I'm talking about people heading west.
But if you were going to pull out of there and head west,
yep,
I'm a little concerned about that.
Could be
you
a-
probably have enough line of sight. I mean,
Yeah.
you look and you look again and then go.
well,
But
I know.
it's not that bad.
Right. I know when, years ago, he came in, Mr. Shaler came in and did a site plan
Yeah,
to put a hotel on this site.
right.
And the DOT, and there was something else, site planning that was closer up to the actual golf course, up towards the slope. And the DOT made what would have been a site plan at the top of that, or just beyond the top of the slope, come all the way down to this lot, and he got an easement to go back up off Route 3 so that they could have the business there. So this location, you know, they were okay with a driveway curb cut there, but they wanted to use this location.
Down further.
You would go in and then go back this way on this land.
That's
So,
because I have a driveway cut
Yeah,
right beside that one,
yeah,
right where the boundary is.
yeah,
That's my property.
yeah.
Well, mine and my brother's. And our driveway cut is just beyond that boundary.
There's no
Right.
driveway actual cut there right now, is there?
Oh, yeah, we
Yeah,
use
there-
it.
Yeah, there is.
We go in and out through there.
Yeah,
So it's right about where Sandy's finger
Yeah.
is, so they were
Yeah.
too many. They didn't want to add
Right.
another one.
Yeah.
But anyway, the further this way you go, the more the slope is there.
Hey Nick, are you gonna permit, will they permit to have fires there, campfires?
Well,
Probably
you can always go to the fire department and
Yeah.
get a campfire permit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they may. It depends, and if they're gonna stay there long term, and I'm not, it's all up to what Jerry wants to do. He may say no campfires, you know.
Well,
But
just
if,
they would need
I'm
permits,
sure he,
yeah.
you know, I know that if they wanna have a campfire, they have to go get we have to obtain some permits to do
Right.
it.
And would you have
Right.
a rock built so
Yeah.
you could have rock,
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
plenty of rocks out there.
so that they're enclosed? We don't wanna burn the woods down.
There's some, right where this, I think the railroad tracks,
Right. no,
once you
it's
cross
not
the
that,
railroad
it's
tracks, I think Silver Lake is down here.
Right.
Does
Yeah.
he own, so will they be,
Uh,
my
he does-
curiosity
he
is, will they
owns-
be using the
he- oh,
water?
he
He
does-
gave that to the town.
He gave his water furnish
Yeah.
down.
Wow.
He gave, yeah, he did. And the tracks, they
But
do,
I own.
they do use the railroad.
How come they don't have a town
over there,
beach?
on occasions.
Yeah.
That's swamp.
Oh.
Okay, well, I'm satisfied. I just, you know,
That's fine.
needed those answers to those
Okay.
questions.
guess we're fine then.
Yep.
But,
I would say, you know, if you're gonna have campfires, you deal with the fire department.
Public property, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Down there.
To go swimming, yeah, I guess.
Take a bath.
Bring some salt and water
Cross over the
Oh.
railroad tracks.
For,
bloodsuckers.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good seeing you. Haven't seen you in quite a while.
I'm hiding, I'm doing a lot of stuff right now, but,
Well, you probably just got back from Florida recently, didn't you?
I came back, almost 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
So, I'm trying to get that other property sold. I finally sold, the land, at the condo, that convertible space.
Yep.
That's sold, and the front unit is sold.
has it recorded already?
Not yet.
Oh, I was
but
gonna
it
say, I
will
didn't
be
see it.
Pretty soon.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out for it.
Very
Yeah.
good.
So, 2 more units, and Nick's saying goodbye to Tilton.
Oh,
I'm leaving, yeah. I'm gonna sell my house and go.
we hate to.
I've had enough.
Where you,
So, anyways,
where you gonna go?
I think I'm gonna go get something down at the coast. I like being at the, you know, I'm tired of the lake.
Mhm.
Time to go fishing.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Now, don't be a stranger. Come back and see us now and then.
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can.
I'll be busy. You guys,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're gonna be seeing me.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you.
You coming?
See you.
Okay, stay.
Break?
We
Yeah, I
just
just
have
wanted
to
to-
talk.
Yeah, I just know if we'll
Okay.
take 5.
Yep.
You wanna take 5?
We'll take
Yeah, we'll
5.
take 5.
Okay, we'll shut things down for a minute and take 5.
We're gonna get some of this stuff.
We'll call it the chocolate.
Okay.
All right. Continuing on.
All right, so
Captain Dawson to speak about kennels ordinance, I guess.
I have had quite a few phone calls since last fall that have to do with kennels. The Department of Agriculture's definition of a commercial kennel is any person, business, corporation, or other entity that transfers 10 or more litters or 50 or more animals in any 12-month period. That's a pretty big kennel. So most of the calls that I'm getting are not obviously for kennels that size. They're for people who might keep, 4 or 5, that are 10, 12 dogs. One, somebody thought they had ferrets. There's another person that's keeping all kinds of strange exotic birds and this type of thing. So we have nothing.
Sorry.
Well,
It took me a minute, I'm like, kennel for birds, wait a minute, I'm processing.
well, kennel is just an enclosure to house creatures. Whether, we mostly think of dogs, I mean,
Call that a house.
it's a kennel, I'm thinking dogs, well,
That's
they can be cats, they can be ferrets, they can be
Right.
mink, they can be all kinds of things. Which,
Non-farm animals, basically.
it's non-farm animals, and that
Bad
kind of surprised me, so I got to looking at our zoning ordinances, and there's really nothing in there. There's no definitions, it's, we really don't have much. So I'm writing a kennel ordinance for health officer, because there's a lot of issues. Like dangers of dog poop. It really is. I laugh about it, but there's a lot of, the obvious is parasites, there's diseases. They're finding that, these, dog parks, don't bring your kids to a dog park.
Right.
Yeah, for dogs.
Because, even though they may pick up whatever they've left behind, or the urine, can leave a lot of parasites and disease behind. And kids are the most susceptible to those. It also goes for cats and other mammals that people keep. So I'm trying to write something, as from a health issue, how do they clean them? Do they hold the feces and stuff? Do they take it off site? And if they do, where do they put it? And, You know, we just don't want them dumping it on the side of the road or on somebody else's property, but it has to be disposed of properly. So what does that mean? I haven't quite figured that one out yet. I talked to one fellow today, I had a complaint of a dog kennel on Peabody Street. He has quite a few hounds, and there's some issues there under 147, the nuisance law. I can do something about it, but it's not clear, it's not well defined. So somebody coming into town that wants to hold animals has no clue what they have to do to be in compliance, to keep me from visiting their site. So I wanted to write this ordinance in such a way that the planning board might continue on with the zoning part of it. Where you would allow them. And I'm not talking the commercial ones, I'm talking the smaller
breeder,
ones.
like a breeder.
This fellow, he has 8 dogs. They're hounds.
Those are hunters, right?
They are Walker Coon hounds.
Oh, they're walkers.
So the minute we drove up, oh yes. And then what happened, it was interesting, because I don't live in a neighborhood, and it was so interesting because there's a dog, there's a dog, there's a dog. So not just his 8 dogs, but all the dogs that could hear him were joining in, and I'm like, wow.
Singing the
My
song.
neighbor.
I'll tell you, if that was at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'd be a little upset.
I have my girlfriend has owned the house right behind that house for
Yeah.
years.
Well, this was Rita's house.
This is Rita's house that you're talking about,
I'm
but
talking
my
about
girlfriend
Rita's.
owns the house up above, which was White House
Wow.
at that time. And she used to drive her crazy. She had dogs, and those dogs used to drive her dogs crazy because they make her dogs bark.
Yeah.
And now they got people, she's got renting to people that don't have them, and that's all they do is complain.
So when I write my ordinance, before I bring it before the Board of Selectmen, because they're the Board of Health and they're the authority that can adopt it, I was going to submit it to the planning board to see if there was anything I should add or you felt tweaked so that it would flow into whatever you may create.
Nice.
Because when you're driving to Peabody Street, first, besides the noise, this is behind the house and I immediately smelled it. It's dirt. So I think he said once a year, he rotor tills it and adds more dirt. So it's never a real sanitation. I think he said he uses some bleach, but there's never any real sanitation of it.
Yeah.
The smell is kind of overwhelming.
How big is that lot? Is that like a half acre?
It's a pretty small lot.
It is.
It's a pretty small lot. That kennel from the front of it to the house was probably less than 10 feet, maybe 12.
I think the new owners are going to ask them to.
I don't know.
They're having a hard time getting insurance because they have it as Blackwater River Kennels, or Blackwater or something. And, the new people that are trying to buy it can't get insurance because there's a business there.
Well, it's not.
It's not a business.
Business that's sanctified by the town of Tilton.
No, he just started it and it's been there.
But
for
being the new
years.
owners, they have a right to let them live because there's no lease involved.
Right.
They were, she was the daughter of the original owner who
Yeah.
was selling the place, and these people don't want it. She said the house is a big thing.
So if it forces him out, then it's a case that he's going to be looking for somewhere else to take these dogs. All the more reason to get something together,
Yeah.
so.
Keep an eye on it.
Because
Yeah.
I did look around, after you said that, I did look around, and in communities that I've looked into that do permit for kenneling and stuff is usually out in the rural areas, to where it can be put in, to where there's no neighbors right around, to, that the dogs or whatever animals they're keeping, because birds can get pretty loud too, but, so we'd have to come up with something, like in the village residential or even in the normal residential areas, you probably wouldn't want kennels because of the noise factor.
I guess one of the things you have to define, I did a little look into
Yeah.
too, but it seems like a lot of towns, if you have 5 or more dogs, you're considered a kennel
Well, no, it's
for licenses.
it's a group license.
Yes.
It's not a kennel license, it's a group license. Because in the state of New Hampshire, you're not a kennel
until, as I said, you're dealing with 10 or more litters of 50 or more animals.
So but now what happens
But
if,
we can, go ahead, I'm sorry.
what happens if I, as just a homeowner, have, say, 5 or 6 dogs?
Good point. Let me read you some of the definitions that I have in here. Remember, this pertains to health, not so much zoning.
Right.
We all know what an adult dog or cat or an animal is.
Right.
Well, animal means a non-human domestic species, such as but not limited to a household pet or a wild animal in captivity. Boarding is the act of providing food and shelter to animals regardless of whether it involves an overnight stay for a fee at the request of the owner or caretaker. Kennel means any establishment and or structure wherein or whereupon the business of boarding or selling animals or breeding animals for sale is carried on except a pet shop. So, and I like that, that's actually a combination of a couple definitions I found.
Yeah.
So a kennel is a business.
Right.
And then I read you the commercial, and then I have kennel run, means an enclosed area indoor or outdoor to allow animals to exercise. And then I defined pet shop. But I also have been toying with, as Sandy said, you may not be in business
Right.
with these animals, but if you're a collector of animals, and let's say you have, well, I had 100 cats once.
No, you didn't.
I did. That's when
You personally did?
I personally did. That's when I lost count. I counted 100 and stopped counting. But we had dairy cows and
Jesus,
whatever.
no.
So if I was keeping all of these animals in an enclosure, who's out there to make sure that it's not an unhealthy situation for neighbors?
Right.
That they're being cared for correctly, properly, sanitation, housing, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a couple of definitions I found. I didn't highlight them, shame on me. That talk about facilities such as that aren't commercial kennels. And it kind of comes under that boarding definition. And it's people that just hold animals in a facility. In other words, not their home and not their barn, but they have built a shelter specifically to hold these animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like Moonlight Kennel?
Like okay, here's one. A private kennel.
Commercial.
Yeah. Right.
Private kennel, any place where 4 or more animals over 6 months of age are owned or kept for private enjoyment.
So I can see where, like I've seen these programs like on this, the Animal Planet, I sort of say Disney. But where they get to the point to where they're hoarding, to where their houses are unsafe. It's amazing that the owners are
You see it on TV too, a lot,
Yeah.
where they have to go in and take the animals because there's
Yes.
so many and they're not taking care of them anymore because
Right.
they can't afford it.
So if I had a dog, a cat, a guinea pig, and a rabbit, I would be a private kennel.
Only if you kept them in a separate enclosure. If you built an enclosure, let's just say
Keep 'em
in
out
your
in the shade,
yard, you built an enclosure to house animals.
No,
So say you had
Now
6
they're out
personal
there
dogs.
exposed to the elements.
right.
And your neighbors are now exposed to them because they're exposed
by
to
like
the
a
noise.
rabbit hutch or something like
Yeah.
that. Or,
Well, if you had a rabbit hutch, I mean.
no, but if I had like 10 rabbits in there.
If you had 10 rabbit hutches, then but now you're producing an amount of manure
Yeah.
that has to be dealt with properly, and that's the main thing.
What is the proper way to deal with manure? I mean, I honestly don't know. I know what we do with it, but
there's different ways of handling it on a farm. Away from streams and rivers and brooks.
Right.
That's number one. The Department of Agriculture would have you build a type of bunker. They're typically made out of concrete so that the runoff can't go onto the neighbors, the streets, or anywhere, and it's contained. Because it's typically exposed to the elements. So if you have a pile of manure and it rains, that all leaches out and it's gotta go someplace. On my small farm, we pile it and then every spring we spread it on the field.
Yep.
And that's what most farms do.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Now, I have a lot of deer. Right now, we've got about 12 deer that are living on our property. And that's fine, but every now and then they get too close to the house and I find deer droppings everywhere. So we pick it up and dig a hole and just bury it
Mhm.
because I don't want it, around the house. Is that okay to do
Yep.
that?
Yes. Yeah, as long as you're not doing it near a dug well.
No, we take it back up in the field,
Some people don't think of that, but
Right.
I think the recharge area for most dug wells is 50 feet, but it can be as much as 75 feet.
So what happens if you have someone who has dogs and they're taking their dog feces and just throwing it in the woods?
Good question.
I mean, I know in the town of Tilton, if it's not your property, you're violating.
Right.
That's the point. Yep. That's the issue. Is it your woods? So I have a kennel area. I only have one dog in it. When I clean it out, we take it, we rake it out, and I take it and I throw it out in the back 40 of our woods. Now I've got another, acres before it's near anyone else. And I never throw it in the same place twice, so that will decompose over a year or so. And then I line the kennel area to kill any other bacteria that's in there and sweeten the soil. But if you're in the village area,
Right.
and I may have, a couple of trees, which I might think is a woods, but it's only about maybe 4 feet deep, and then there's my neighbor's yard, should you be throwing, like this kennel on Peabody Street, should he be throwing all of that into that area? No. Because he
It
can't,
never gets to recuperate. I mean,
it never has enough chance to decompose,
Right.
the ground doesn't recuperate, and neighbors, cats and dogs and kids, unless he fences that off, it may be private property, but they could still be exposed.
right.
So,
Plus the runoff when it rains.
well, and exactly,
Roads down
so
there.
it's keeping what you're doing confined to yourself and not affecting your neighbors.
Well, maybe that's why most communities where they do have kennels is out in the rural agricultural areas where generally you have more land. And the houses are much further apart. I mean, most people think, well, they have to go out there because they're too loud, make too much noise, but it's the health part of it too.
Yeah, certainly a for-profit kennel, if you're trying to make money in breeding and selling dogs, definitely. A boarding kennel, maybe not so much, because they could have anywhere from 1 to, and then of course the planning board, you would have an opportunity to determine, let's say if somebody wanted it in RC, where I am,
Right,
how many dogs would you allow them to board in that area?
right.
If somebody wanted it up off our Lancaster Hill Road, in one of those little residential communities that's not, back to back like it is in the village district, how many would you allow them to board?
Well, let's say that the plan that just came in, if they were gonna put a hotel there with a kennel to accommodate,
Right.
people travel with pets,
Mhm.
how many dogs would you want to allow there?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
What impact on that neighborhood would you want it to have?
Well, then, I would think going back to the health and safety issue, okay, where are they gonna put the feces, because
Right.
it's gonna roll down towards Silver Lake, which, wait, that's where I get, what?
Mhm.
I mean, there's railroad tracks, everything's soaked to the ground, and
Yep.
I think everything on south side of the railroad tracks is pretty wet though.
Yeah.
So it is, there's a lot of things to think of. When I started
Sure.
this, I thought, yeah, it's gonna be a piece of cake. As I got into it, and talking to the health officer, I'm like, oh man, there's so much more to this.
Yeah.
But that's what I would do, and my reason for coming was just to let you know that I had this, I was working on, and that the other half of it would be for you.
Yeah.
So I'll write mine,
Mhm.
I'll send it all to you guys, and you can look at it, and
Well, I think it's
we'll
excellent.
work from that end of it.
Because we have had inquiries, you know, you see people follow trends. And they're always looking for ways that they can make money without a whole lot as far as investment goes. And just in recent times, I had a call, the towns had calls, about buying land closer into town, and they want to be able to board animals or have a kennel. And, you know, there's a lot to that, so I think we need to address it. I mean, part of our site plan is the noise thing. I mean, obviously, you don't want dogs right next door if they're going to be barking all the time. I had a neighbor across the street and down a ways that had one little yapper that drove me absolutely out of my mind sometimes. Because, I mean, they put it out just constantly. Can you imagine, like, if that were 10 or 15, it would drive you nuts. So, I mean, we have to come up with something, and I would think this would be a great time to go along with what she's
I know in my
doing.
neighborhood, I'm not gonna, well, there's someone that you guys know that was in my neighborhood who had a dog, and I witnessed someone in that house flipping the dog poop into the woods, and I'm thinking, well, how much dog poop is in there? You know, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
you know, well, isn't there an ordinance that you're supposed to pick it up? And so,
Well,
you know,
even-
I pick up mine, but I guess I throw it in the trash, you know, I have a little.
This particular kennel on Peabody Street, he bags it, I guess he has a 5-gallon bucket, and he picks it up, he tries to do it daily. And he goes to work, and he has permission from his owner to put it in their dumpster. So it does go to the incinerator, which is great,
Yeah,
but a lot of people don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
right.
You know, if you have 1 or 2 pets, you know, you can pick it up and put it in your trash and send it curbside. I wonder if we can recycle it.
Well, I have a neighbor, she has like 5 dogs.
Why not?
Pardon?
I have a neighbor who has 5 dogs, and I don't know, is that classified as a kennel?
It would be classified in these definitions as a private kennel,
Right.
not for profit.
But she lets them run through the neighborhood.
She lets them run.
Oh, sure. So my dog barks at them.
If she had if there was a facility, if they're just in somebody's home, that's not a kennel
Right.
or a boarding
But
situation.
if she's breeding them, then that's a different story. Isn't it? I mean, if she, okay, let's say she's got, you know, 5 golden retrievers and she's breeding them and, you know, there's ads on Craigslist or she's selling them and, you know, does that become a home business? And
Well, that would be an issue for the planning board
Yeah.
to try to decide, is that a home business? For the health officer, it's in her home, she can live with it, you know,
Yeah.
as long as she doesn't have an elderly person that can't get out of it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if it's in somebody's home, for me, it's a facility specifically designed to house animals, except for barns or agricultural operations.
I have to tell you, Joe decided that he was going to build a structure at the back, another barn, and he was going to board cats. And he said, I'm gonna get a big sign for the front that's gonna go to the cat house.
Listen to this cat house.
Good one.
That is funny.
You got people stopping at wee hours of the morning.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. Red light district on
Yeah.
Clark Road.
Yeah.
So, that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Thank
Well,
you.
I think it's great, Catherine. I can't wait to read it, and,
It's a good idea.
yeah, we'll incorporate it, you know, because I know we need to. We should have something in our zoning so that you have some control over where kennels would go, if they're gonna go. And, you know, because I can imagine someone anywhere getting close to town where there's a lot of neighbors around. I would think that your case that night would be full of abutters saying, no, not my backyard.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, this one on Peabody Street's been there for,
A long
I
time.
would say 15, maybe 20 years.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, it's been a long time.
At
Yeah.
Rita's.
Yeah.
And I do occasionally hear from
The person that
all
needs,
the abutters.
the policeman that needs, is it Nate?
Nate,
He lives right next door.
yes he does.
He never complains about it?
You know what he complained about was the noise, but we don't have a noise ordinance.
Right.
Why?
We've
They're
tried
still
to
a
enact
nuisance.
them, but they're hard to enforce because it has to do with decibels, and you have to have something that
machine
accurately
that
measures
measures
those
them, yeah.
decibels. You can't just say, hey, I think you were too loud.
Right.
Turn down your
Um,
music.
So, that being said, there wasn't much I could do for him.
So even with a dog
Because-
barking, we don't,
I asked Al today, I had thought that we had something that had to do with time.
Yes.
They're your neighbors. I was
And
pretty
we did,
sure
remember?
there
Somebody
was
looked it up with
something.
the police after we talked about
Yeah.
it, it's like 10 PM to something.
Right.
They were a little more tender about it.
Yep.
Because
This
I remember
one-
living out behind La Chance's Market years ago. And I had a dog and I was gone and my babysitter left my dog out, which barked half the night. And I came back from my trip and, you know, she had the dog in by then, but the police came and I was like, well, I was gone this weekend.
Yeah,
But she went someplace and didn't get back and,
and left the dog out.
yes.
mm,
But the police were right there.
So I've written something into this. Unreasonably disturb the peace and quiet includes but is not limited to the creation of any noise by any animal which can be heard by any person, including the animal control authority, health officer, or licensed peace officers. I like that. I didn't say call police.
Yeah.
From a location outside of the building or premises where the animal is being kept in which animal noise occurs either, number one, repeatedly over at least a 7-minute period of time with 1 minute or less lapse of time between each animal noise during the 7-minute period.
The cop's out there with a stopwatch.
Number two, or, number two, repeatedly over at least a 14-minute period of time at an average of at least 12 animal noises per minute.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And
No wonder you can't enforce it.
that came from, we used to work in Prescott, Arizona in the winter months.
Yeah.
And that was in their it was a dog ordinance
Right.
in Prescott Valley that I used to laugh about, never thought that I'd actually implement, but it's a way of dealing with animal noises and not
Sure.
using a decibel, something to measure
Right.
the level of the sound. So, anyway,
I have neighbors
not to
dogs
keep
that-
you.
My dog doesn't bark, but as soon as I come within 50 feet of their yard, the dogs are.
Yeah, the one out here when you're walking in the morning,
Yeah.
or out in the afternoon.
Yeah,
Also,
he barks.
it's like, are you behind a fence?
So thank you.
Thank
And
you.
As soon as I
Look forward to reading it.
wrestle with this animal. And if some of these do have some zoning type things that come with them, and I'll send that to you. So you have a
Okay.
look at it.
Looks good.
Thank you, people.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
have fun doing that.
It's been a learning experience.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
Thanks.
Like that.
Okay, with that. Minutes?
Oh. Sorry, I'm
Not fun.
No, it's okay. I'm sorry.
Do here, people.
All right. Approval of the April 23rd minutes.
No, I have one, thank you. I had, no, that's not the one I want though. I had mine marked out. Oh, I did my homework.
I'm just keeping my-
I make a motion that we bring the minutes of April 23rd, 2013 to the floor for discussion.
Second.
All those approved?
Aye.
Aye.
And, we all agreed, didn't we? I didn't find anything on the first page. Second page I did.
This is, I hate to be like this, but I'm page 2,
Yes.
from the bottom. There's a line, paragraph, a line, and paragraph. And that paragraph is Miss Pleasure stayed with Pizza Hut King.
Yeah.
There needs to be a space.
Oh, there needs a space.
Oh,
in
a
there.
space, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a space.
That's just
Wait a
a,
minute, where's
It's a
that?
space.
it needs a space.
It needs a space.
believe it or not, when I opened it up, for some reason I opened up to that page, that's the first thing I saw.
Where's my
Oh,
second?
your eyes just go for it.
Yeah, just,
Oh, right here.
Yeah. It was just a
Oh,
space thing.
okay.
The space bar, you know?
Came from.
Oh, yours says a whole different thing.
Oh, see, well, I
Oh.
sent revised ones. Remember, I sent the first
Yeah.
ones out and then we revised them.
actually,
Yeah, Pizza Hut.
at this stage, so
Plan
we
the
can't,
space
we
between
can't
the
approve
site.
these minutes because
You know,
We don't have a
quorum.
quorum to approve them.
Right.
we don't have a quorum.
Okay, so we'll save them for next meeting, that's all.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sure I do my homework, it doesn't make any difference, thanks.
You did an A.
I get an A.
You get an A,
See, I
and you'll
got
have them
yellow.
next time.
A for
Highlighted
effort.
and stuff, yeah.
You'll have them
Okay.
next time.
Okay.
But I
And I'll
noticed,
just note to be approved at next
And you
meeting.
have
Is
your
there-
homework
is there-
this time.
and I was a little confused, I was just trying to look up something, but there was something in minutes and meeting minutes, but it seemed, if I remember correctly, it's been a long time, but was there 2 versions of this?
Yes.
There was. I sent out one first because usually Sandy corrects it and she hadn't, she goes over it and, so I sent mine out because it was getting long and I didn't know if she wasn't well, but she didn't have a computer for a while.
But is there a
And
way
then
just to
she-
any changes that, because it seemed to indicate that there should only be 1 copy of the minutes and then any changes should be noted, so is there a way just to get changes put in red?
I did.
I do have them in red,
Okay.
but I put them in
When
and
I
resend
send them
them.
to her, I've got all my
Right,
changes
but
in
what
red and.
I'm saying is you're getting them, but we're not, we're getting the
Well-
change version, so I just didn't know.
Well, if you want, after I make my changes, I can send them to everybody. And I tell
I got them
you,
here if you want them.
I put in red
Here.
whatever I'm adding.
Actually,
And
they're
if
highlighted.
I
If you would, because I think we had
highlight
a
whatever
discussion
I say
before on-
needs to be deleted.
Yeah, that would be
So-
awesome.
So what do
So, and I-
you do, what needs to be deleted?
I highlight it in yellow,
Okay.
and at the end of the yellow highlight, I put delete. So you know that anything that's highlighted, you delete it right out, and everything that's red is different than what was on there. So,
I
but
just,
I mean,
no,
I
it's
don't mind, I've
I
been
just-
just sending them back to her, but I didn't send them to
That'd be
everybody.
awesome if we could.
Okay.
Great.
well, because
Thank
it,
you.
well, it's like you read one and then
Yeah.
I go back and read it again and, you know,
Yeah.
just try to do it once and be done with it.
Well, usually we only send it out once.
Right.
She'll like look it over and, make any changes that she, you know. And then I send out that one to you people, but it got kind of way late last time, so it was
Yeah.
got kind of late,
I
so.
didn't have, my computer was down.
That's.
All right, moving on to correspondence and any other business.
Okay,
That's the purple folder.
right.
All right, let's start our first one.
Now, that Tim gave me today and asked me to,
Take one and pass it on.
yep,
Thank you.
and I just figured I'd make copies so everybody could read it and
Yeah.
have it. And your thoughts on it or whatever.
I didn't put it in, this is the copy.
Okay.
that we-
Go with
It went with,
the next thing. Yeah, because actually the only driveway they have up there for application
yeah,
is, for logging.
yeah.
That was the only.
So they have to get a new one, but,
Yeah, right, so when he called, I said, I gave him a copy of it, and
yeah.
but I said, you know, it's a logging driveway, not a driveway.
This is a letter from Tim Pearson,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a letter requesting us to, in addition to all the other land use documents that are required, but they also add a requirement to provide digital copies of submitted documents,
Right.
which I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
I actually have seen it in use in many other towns.
Mm-hmm.
It also allows if you, let's say we were in a big public hearing, you could just pull it up and put it on a reader and make
Right.
it a lot easier. Saving trees.
Oh, we still need to have paper copies.
No, I know, but like, we don't have to make 25,000 copies for everyone, you can put it up on
Right.
a reading board or something if you have to, or a projector.
That's true.
We did that on the budget committee, actually, a lot of the stuff now that we get is coming to us electronically versus.
I don't think this is an unreasonable
Yeah, I
request
don't
at
think
I
all.
so.
don't either, I think it's fine. We can certainly add that, why don't you put it in the checklist?
Yep.
Add it right to the checklist. You know, where we're telling them what we need
We should also put it on the application, right then.
and on the application.
Yep.
On the application too,
Where you're telling them what you want them to bring in.
but, I also wanna change the application a little bit to add more email, like an email address if they have it and stuff like
Yeah.
that, because sometimes you wanna get in touch with them and you don't have anything.
Right.
So
The
I'm
only
gonna,
thing we'll have to watch on this though, when you get your little site plans that come in, you know, Farmer Jones is just wanting
Oh,
to add
Nick
this.
said he just brought it in, that'd have to be exact.
Right.
He's not gonna have that.
but
Right.
we can scan it, we could scan it in and make a
Right.
digital PDF copy on the computer if that's what.
Right.
Right.
I can do that.
little
and- and
one-pager
dig-
like this
Yeah,
is no-
and put it someplace so it can.
I'm just thinking like Nick tonight, you know, this wasn't a professional drawing. He's showing us what
Yeah.
he's gonna do.
And some of the little people don't have the
That was
money for that.
conceptual
you know.
though, where if it was an actual site plan review,
Yeah, but we've done a lot of site plans where they're not professional copies.
Yeah, because they're small
They're
entities.
hand-drawn.
Yeah.
But those can be scanned in, like she says,
Yeah.
so that
I
they can
can
be
scan them
added.
in and we
Yeah.
can put something on a PDF, you know,
Yeah.
and make it PDF
Mm-hmm.
and Tim can keep it somewhere. He can figure out how we're gonna keep it after that, you know,
Right.
but I could scan some of it in. I'd
They
love
can
to be
also
able
put
to
it on a
scan the
DVD.
big drawings in myself.
Right,
they do also do use a DVD, so,
right.
That's true.
yeah. And that takes up a lot of space.
Yep.
Yeah, all right.
Sounds good.
All right, next. This is a letter from,
It's like the
Tim.
fire department.
yeah, the fire department, Tim, is it Jalpert? Let's see,
Gilbert?
dear Mr. Gamlin, this is a letter to Roland Gamlin,
Okay,
Mhm.
that was from, for the fire department, for the fitness center, and
Okay.
Auto Service sent it in, showing how many people can be in the facility.
Okay,
It was dated March 15th.
Yeah, he sent it over after our last meeting, they came in and discussed that with the board.
yes.
All right, so we'll go into that. This is just a letter, April 30th, Roland Gamlin from Auto Serve called to let the planning board know he had contacted the state of New Hampshire Department of Health to find out if any inspections were required for the fitness center. He was told by the state only businesses that would require state inspections are tattoo and massage parlors.
Okay.
All right. This next one is
Yeah, that's the parking.
Amish Bar. Oh, this must be the parking for the CrossFit court.
Yes. I just put it in there for people to know it's here.
Yeah.
Okay,
CrossFit there. All right, let's see, this is a letter from DOT, Department of Transportation. Please find attached a driveway permit application for Sheila Dodge on US 3.
Yep.
For information, this is from,
she did that,
Mhm.
oh, this is the one that's a CrossFit course?
Yeah.
right.
I feel like I missed a lot.
That was one of her conditions of approval.
All right, let's see, this is driveway paving at 14 Clark Road.
Yeah.
Please find attached driveway permit, Linda Pauls.
That was done.
All right,
No, that's an application.
This is
I
an
don't know if it's
application.
finished. I haven't seen it come in as finished.
Oh, well, the
They paid.
driveway's done.
Oh, well, evidently, that,
yeah, it's not, this is just a,
but
it's
being
an
that it's on,
application.
yeah,
Yeah.
being it's on a state road.
Yep.
They had to have that done.
All right, this is a fine issue of town and city.
Yep.
You can also get, if you go to LGC's website, they do have this PDF version.
Yeah.
So, this is highly.
Some good articles in there this
There are.
time.
I
Yeah.
started reading it the other day at work on the downtime, but I didn't get that far. Let's see, this is from the Lakes Region Planning Commission. Annual meeting, save the date, Monday, June 24th, 6 to 9 p.m. More information to follow. June 24th. I didn't say where yet, unless it's
No.
Meredith.
Oh, they have them all over the place. You never know. Have to wait for the more to follow.
That's bring it that.
Mm.
That's the more to follow.
I can pretty much already tell you, I won't be able to go. And that's it, old correspondence. And I don't know if this paper clip goes around, so I'm just gonna put it around everything.
That's okay. There's a ring, that's it's fine.
Do they have to do anything for the job fair that they have?
I was gonna say Dennis Gaudette called to let us know that he's going to let the employment security use the Agway building to do
Right.
the job there. So it's a
Oh,
one-day
okay, so they
event.
didn't need anything, any special permits or
Well, the only
anything?
thing I would say is depending on the kind of traffic, they're gonna have to have, traffic control because of the location. Even the person that had the winter, she had traffic control.
Saturday,
Yeah, I think it's gonna be busy.
Is that something you contact him and let him know, or?
I don't know, you know, I only know that it was happening because it was posted in the
Well, you
paper.
could mention
Right.
it to Al,
Okay.
you know, that,
Actually, we could probably talk to the chief and see if he's aware that
Yes.
they might need to.
right, yeah, you can just send him an email and just say,
Okay.
whatever the date is that you're coming in.
Yeah, is it May 22nd? I think it is, May 22nd.
That you received an email that Gaudette is letting them use the
I
site.
didn't see anything, all I saw was a posting on the I saw it in the paper and I saw it.
Yeah, I
What's the
did
job
I
fair
didn't-
for?
We never hear
Just
anything
a
what he's
community
doing up
job
there.
fair.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Standing
just like
pictures
the,
put down.
the clinic, the pet thing that they had, we never get anything saying that they're gonna do
Right.
anything there. So they're building and they're letting people use it, you know, so they never said anything to us.
That's why he wanted tonight to make sure that we had heard about this.
Yeah.
No.
We didn't hear about it except for you, so.
Yeah, well, there was
Well,
an
I saw it
article
in
in the
the paper,
newspaper,
yeah.
yeah. But Al ought to probably just look into it and see, is it just a one-day thing?
Yes.
Is it one or
Yeah, it's a
two?
one-
I think it's only one day, yeah.
But just to make sure they have some kind of traffic control.
Did you go down to that parking on Mill Street?
Parking on Mill Street. I went by there and I looked at it, and then Al went down, and,
That doesn't look like vehicles can park in there.
no, I didn't think so either, but I did talk to Al about it, and I said, wait a minute, she's not supposed to be doing this till the parking lot's ready. So, whether or not it was supposed to go beyond that, whether it did or not, I don't know. Whether,
Because if they're scheduling events there, then.
yeah. Do you know whether or not, did you talk to Jim Cropsey about his lot, or?
I didn't talk to him about his lot, I talked to him about the
I
restaurant.
knew you did about the
I
restaurant.
didn't talk to him about the lot.
Well, I'll have to find out if Al had a talk with him about getting that finished.
I see the lights on upstairs late at night.
Because, well, he
Yeah,
did
the
say,
grand opening
no,
too.
she's been having, like they had something there last
They had a
week.
jazz festival on May
Yeah.
4th, I don't know. if
But
they had
everybody
last
was
week.
parked right there in the lot. So, but, because I had gotten a complaint from someone who said that it was a restaurant and it was open to the public, but it wasn't. They don't even have a kitchen there.
The jazz thing was open to the public, though, but.
Yeah, it was, but there's no kitchen, so it's not like you can go there to eat dinner.
The food
She
is
was
catered.
catering the event is what she was doing. But, so, you know, but it's like the parking has to be finished. Now, I did go down and he came back and he told me, he said, it wouldn't take that much for him to finish it to where it can be used because it's just a gravel lot. But he said it's obviously not ready yet.
Right.
He said, well, he said, I guess if you had four-wheel drive, you could get in there, but, you know, the average car, he didn't think would try, so. Because we need to find out too, whether or not he finished the sidewalks. You know, that goes from the parking lot back
The
over.
Riverwalk thing?
The asphalt has been down in that area, cutting down trees on the bed and breakfast's property.
Side, yeah.
So I don't know if that's related to that or not, I don't know.
Black Swan had Mother's Day brunch at their place this weekend.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were doing that,
I think that's new owners now,
but
isn't
it
it?
is,
Yes.
although she's still there.
Is she still there?
Oh, the bed and breakfast?
Yes.
And then, there's the
She
feather
was doing
flags at
tours
Pizza
for
Hut
us
and
as well.
McDonald's.
There what?
There
She
are,
was doing, oh.
I'm sorry, there are feather flags at Pizza Hut and McDonald's.
Oh, he's called those people today.
Yeah. Where were we the other day? I said, oh, another set of feather
I
flags.
know in Concord, the Concord Nissan, they got money by the city for side of the road with American feather flags, and flags.
But we were just by some restaurant. Maybe it was a Pizza Hut. I was thinking it might have been Chili's, but it might have been Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut, yeah.
Yeah.
One that says we deliver, and the other one says pizza across the wings or something.
Yeah.
He called McDonald's today and asked for the manager, because they got him out too. And, they hung up on him.
They hung up on him?
They hung up on him. He called back. They hung up on him again. Called back. He said, look, do you want me to come up there? I'm the code enforcement from the town of Tilton. I'm trying to speak to the manager. Do I need to come up there to do this? And so finally the manager got on the phone. He said, well, we've been having a lot of prank calls, so we didn't know if this was one.
Shouldn't you find out before you go hanging up on it?
CYA right there.
Next on our agenda is master plan review.
Wait a minute, I had one more question under other business.
Sorry.
We had that email go all around about the summer farmers market. What was the consensus? Never heard back. What?
I guess they don't really have to do anything.
But how is that impacting the parking over there?
It's not gonna change anything. That it's gonna be where the other one was.
Right, but it's supposed to be much bigger.
30 vendors, they're limiting, the hangar is limiting her to 30 vendors. Here, I got this to pass out, so.
Oh, okay.
She sent this in, I said to her, type up something, send it in.
Thank you.
They're having a lease and insurance with Tanger Outlet Center. She's requiring her people to have the same type of insurance that they had to carry when they had the farmers market, the winter farmer market. She has a total of 13 right now, but she's limited to 30.
I'm trying to think of how many they had there last year.
Well, the first couple of years they had a lot, and then it
Yeah.
kind of slowed down.
Dwindled down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's gonna have 13 markets, so 13 Fridays.
My only concern with this is additional traffic, and I talked to Gus about this, but additional traffic causing that traffic light to change more frequently, thus we're backing up traffic on a Friday afternoon, back up onto 93 on exit 20.
That's true. 3 to 7 is a bad time.
Yeah.
That's my concern with this.
Because before it was Wednesdays.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this much. I mean, I know Eric. And if this became a problem, he would put a stop to
Well,
it.
this is the time that he wants.
This is the time he wants?
He wants, she said.
Wow.
Well, he wants to bring more people into the mall on Friday nights.
How can you do that? There's times now to where it looks like the lot's pretty well full to me.
On Friday nights?
Well, I don't know. I don't go over there on
I think
Fridays.
Friday night is actually, it's probably one of their slower nights of the week,
Is
just
it?
because most people
Too
tend to-
busy.
You know, the Uno's might be busy, but that's about it,
Mm.
you know, because people come in and eat.
Yeah, you go up there and lots of nights and there's nobody in there. It's during the day, it's packed, but usually in the evening.
Well, it's certainly something we
Unless
can.
it rains, so that's.
Yeah,
that's
no,
awesome.
yeah, it's raining, it's busy.
You know what I think I would do too is I would have a talk with the chief and just say, hey, if you find this is becoming an issue, you know, you need to let us know. Because, I mean, it's one thing to have the farmer's market there, like before, I don't think it really, I know it was on Wednesdays, but even when it was really big, it didn't seem like it drew that many people.
No.
Well, and he's saving the time on the weekends for the other craft fairs that they hold there. You
Yeah.
know, they have a couple of craft fairs,
But a lot
twice
of
a
those
year.
set up on
couple
Friday
of 3
nights,
times
so-
a year, they have those
Yeah,
craft fairs.
Unless they're not gonna have
Are they
them.
gonna be getting their vendor permits this year?
Well, this is what, you know, we were talking about the other day, you know, we have to sit down with Eric and say, wait a minute. You know, there's certain rules and regulations that this town has, and you're going to have to abide by them.
I was told last year and chose to ignore it, so.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, we'll have to bring them in and talk to them. Because,
Now, do they have to at other places? You know, like at the expo in Laconia, when they have them at the out there at the expo center? Do they have to have,
well, I don't
In
really
the
know what Laconia does.
yeah.
You know, I just know that there's certain vendors that have to, I mean, certain conditions here that you have to apply for a vendor's permit. And that's done for a couple of different, I keep calling it the hawker and peddlers. But it's done primarily because it gives us a copy of the people that are doing this, So if there's issues, or say the public at large gets robbed or taken advantage of, you know who to go after. We have their pictures, we have their driver's license. You know, I mean, people think we do this just as another way to make money, but it does benefit the town as well, especially if you get somebody in. I mean, most of the people that come in on hawkers and peddlers are no problem.
Right.
But you just don't, there's occasionally someone comes in and there are issues.
Well, look at down in Derry, they had the flea markets and they had, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars of knockoff stuff.
Oh, flea
Yeah.
markets are notorious.
And they were, well,
Yeah.
I know when they raided those
I like
too,
them.
it started,
Well, it's bad press for the town,
of course it
you
is.
know, and you gotta protect the town.
But, you know, this is part of it, and, you know, this kind of stuff, I mean, you can't have it going on. Or I know I saw the one, now this wasn't here, this was when I was in Texas the last time. They had the big farmer's market, and it was just people walking around the market. Finally, someone was stopping, there were police there because of the number of people. Said, hey, you know, they're selling drugs over there on the 4th row over, the 5th table down. You can buy whatever you want. So they sent an undercover over there, you know, just normal street clothes, and he bought some drugs, and they brought him in and arrested him. But it's just the idea, you just don't know what you're going to find in these places.
The world is changing.
Yeah.
But the audacity of somebody to do that, you know, I mean, right out in public, that blows me
Well,
away.
you know, sometimes the best place to hide is right out in the open.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
true. That's true. I would just be so scared to death.
Absolutely.
Okay,
All right, so just let them do that though, right?
yeah.
What,
I'll bring it
something
up
else?
again, we're meeting Thursday, so
Yeah,
we'll
let them
bring it up
sell
again.
drugs. Lord. They don't get their own scripts.
Yeah,
Come on.
No,
Because I don't know, they were going to call Concord and look into that and see if there was something about it, you know, with the League of Craftsmen, if there's, you know, when you're making and selling your own stuff, if there's anything there. But I know we were gonna look into it, whether or not we got any answers, I don't know.
Well, I know when I do craft fairs, I just show up. I mail my check in to the organizer. But usually I do like schools and stuff.
Mhm.
I just show up, that's it.
Yeah,
Back when I was going through all that stuff, Pat
Yeah.
said, no, they should have them, so.
right.
Just a curiosity, I was looking at selectmen's minutes from the April, I want to say the 11th.
Okay,
There was someone that's going to be opening up a snow cone cart or something like that.
yes,
Does that have to come before the planning board at all? or-
No.
Hawkers and vendors.
Is
Look,
that
is it
good?
But he's on the sidewalk.
yeah,
The
I thought it
sidewalk
was
is
his
town
building.
property.
yeah.
I don't understand how that's gonna work with
No, I
ADA
know.
compliance, and
I understand
you already
exactly
can
where
only
you're
walk, because with the people on downtown putting out signs and stuff, it's already limited in the walkway.
Well, I feel this way, it's like, we have made rules with these people that, you know, you've got to be able to leave enough space open so that the pedestrian traffic can pass, and that wheelchairs should be able to go each direction. Now, you know, it's like, most of the time they try very hard, but then all of a sudden you find that, okay, this one has put this sign out, and this one's got a bench out there with stuff on it, and before you know it, it's like, one day I started walking down, and I was going to leave the sidewalk, step down onto this, off the curb to walk around and come back. I said, wait a minute. You know, and I said to him, I said, it's supposed to all be up against the building. I said, where's the walkway? Well, I guess the people just drug it out.
Joe used to go downtown and
Oh,
tell
I
them,
know.
no, you can't have things
Right.
on the sidewalk, period.
Right. Back
That
up.
was not,
Yeah.
oh no, it couldn't be
Well,
outside your
that
store.
was,
You
that
could
was,
have the
yes.
A boards and that was it.
That was after the ordinance came into being, nothing on the public sidewalks. Because we had to do that, it got to the point where you couldn't walk downtown on the walk. You know, it was just signs and little tables of stuff, and, I mean, it got to the point of being ridiculous. So, but now they've started letting, you know, like this little store that was on the end, they let her put a table and chairs out there. And further down, the guy has a narrow table that he has to have it right against the building.
At the little bookstore.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the guy that's going to be selling the snow cones, that machine has to, his cart has to be right up against the building.
And where is that?
Down there, it's the jewelers, isn't it?
TLC.
Okay.
But I also heard the landlord got involved with that one.
The minute said they had a letter with the landlord approving it.
No, but he wants to charge rent,
Oh,
so
Mm.
I don't know whether the snow cones will stay out there or
I haven't seen it,
But
I only go
yeah.
by there on Friday, so I don't.
Oh, they,
not. Well, I don't think that they're really that active yet, are they? Just on hot days or?
Yeah.
no, they were in here, well, he was in here the other day signing some papers.
Mm.
The TLC owner was
Right.
Tom,
Okay.
but I don't know what they were. I just
Okay.
know he was here.
So, go back to this farmer's market for a minute, is this something we should let the chief know to let us know about the traffic? If we
Yes, I think we should. Send him, either, we can have Gus send him an email, let him know that we have received this, and that, would he please keep us informed if traffic becomes an issue?
This is the first thought I had when
Yeah,
I read it.
no, I agree, but I mean, if Friday night is a slow night for him, maybe it won't be
It
an
may be a
issue.
slow night for them, but not for Route 3.
Right, oh, wow, Friday,
And that's where I'm concerned, that
Yeah.
if you're gonna increase the amount of traffic turning into there,
yeah,
then it's gonna cause that traffic light to back up more, to
Yeah.
the Walgreens one, back up to the end of 21, and then
yeah.
they're gonna be backing up on Route 3, which sometimes happens.
Well, we know from this, what night she's going to be, we can mark her calendar, these are every Friday night through September. So we'll just, send the chief, and just ask him to, if he finds that there's any issues on Friday nights, please let us know.
I still have this on my computer, I'll
Okay.
send it over to him.
Yeah, send it
Little
to him
blurb to
and,
him.
and just say that, we're concerned whether or not traffic would become an issue. So if you
Okay.
would please let us know if it is.
They can go the back way too.
Oh, I always go back.
And on the
They
back
don't
way,
know what the,
yeah, but you could turn near the light by Walgreens going out.
Now, with Walmart putting in their, doing their upgrade, I
Yeah.
believe there was something in there about all syncing those traffic lights.
Are they going to do it?
I think that's part of it with the state, that they
Yeah.
have to, cause those timers are 20 years old or whatever.
Right,
And they were supposed to resync all those, put new ones in to be able, cause they're losing their syncing ability, I guess. And so it's supposed to, maybe it'll help with, but
Yeah,
I don't know
'cause I
when
know
they're
they
putting
did-
them in, and probably, I don't know,
yeah,
when
no.
they'll be done.
Yeah, but that does help, because I know when the building was all going on, of course, the lights would go in and they, nothing was, timed with anything else, and it was ridiculous, you just about get to the light, or there'd be like 2 or 3 cars get through, and then it was changing because somebody pulled up from the interstate. And it was just a mess, and cars were being stopped for no earthly good reason. So then they did come out, and they worked on the timing, and it did help. I mean, it was like things flowed a lot easier. I mean, it's still, if you get the traffic just so heavy, it's not gonna, if you change the light at all, it's gonna create a
Like
backup.
Sunday afternoons when everybody's
Yeah,
headed back to
when we're
Massachusetts.
all going home.
And they're exiting New Hampshire.
Anyone else? Anything else?
sorry.
No, sure.
No, but I think I personally think that you had a good concern. I mean, it is a concern. Anything.
I've seen it backed up on the route, onto the highway before, that's why.
Yeah.
And it's usually on a Friday or, Friday night
Sunday.
of bike week, I remember.
Usually
Yeah.
Sunday. Sunday is usually the best.
Well, no,
And
but
bike
it's not the
week.
traffic coming off.
Of course, we have bike week, and then you've got the
Oh.
races. When the
Yeah.
races happen, that's backed up.
Yeah.
Do we wanna do master plan tonight where we don't have?
Yeah.
I was gonna say it might be better to wait until we have more of a full board.
Then I guess.
So far, we
You're the
don't.
boss, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree, I mean, I
You're
don't
the
think.
boss.
Motion we adjourn.
Oh, I hear a motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
class dismissed.
That's dismissed.
Pass on the brownie though.
That's why you want to.
Even that,